Hey, why didn't it go?
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are joining us live on Uplifting Conversations that set your heart on fire. My name is Sarah Wade. I'm in Australia and I have two lovely gentlemen joining me today from Canada. I have my amazing co-host, best-selling author, Neil Thrussell. Welcome, Neil.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to be here.
Excellent. And we've got an amazing man who's going to talk to us about a wonderful journey, his life. This is Mr. Scott McDermott, producer of the Warrior Code film and a lot more than that. Welcome, Scott.
Awesome. Thanks. Great to be here.
Excellent.
I do apologize. I was very excited to be on the show from my podcast booth, and then our plans changed. We suddenly had to come up to Edmonton, and I realized, oh my gosh, and now I'm from my truck borrowing Wi-Fi from a Starbucks, and so I'll do my best with that situation.
You do you.
That's perfect, because I sent out a warm-up, a pre-reminder of the resilience that I believe Scott has. I've known Scott for, many years, and I, as a coach, have hired a coach. Scott is actually my running coach. So if you're wondering when I'm whining about what my coaches run me through, this is the man that has kept me healthy for 2 marathons and has kept me healthy for this one. And I've made him work for his dollars. My health has made him work for this one. So welcome, Scott.
Thank you very much, Neil. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So I was talking about resilience, and no one knows your story except me, but the easiest way is to start your story is, I'm going to say you were this little blob of a heart attack waiting to happen before you found fitness.
Yes, very much true.
And then what happened? Yeah.
So, yeah, I had a life of not understanding why nutrition was important. And I always joke that I don't have a sweet tooth. I have 32 of them. And I had junk food with my junk food, dessert for breakfast. And I was in a career of architecture. And after 13 years, I was fat and sick and going from specialist to specialist, trying to figure out why I had this huge range of problems. Ringing in my ears. I had back problems I broke my spine in high school. It never really got strong again at that point. I had circulation problems. I would get suddenly so dizzy I would fall out of my chair at work. There was just layer after layer after layer of problems. Allergies to everything in the summer. And finally a doctor said, you need to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, or you're not going to make it to 30. And so I took that piece of advice and I joined a gym. I met a trainer. I started learning every single thing I could about fitness and nutrition and health, and I completely changed my life. And I turned around in less than 5 months. I went from Pillsbury Doughboy, 230, 240 pounds down to 185 pounds, lean, best shape of my life. And everything was different. I quit my job in architecture 2 weeks before being an associate partner because I knew I was at the top of the ladder on the wrong building. And so I quit, and they were pretty stunned, but they understood. And it took a couple of years, but I pulled everything together and I opened my own gym. I opened a 15,000 square foot facility in the town that I was living in, Sylvan Lake, Alberta. And I ran that for 18 years. And it was quite the change in my life. And I could go on from there, Neil. I'm not sure where you want me to take next. Probably getting into triathlon, but does that make sense?
Yeah. And to just back up to working on resilience, Scott painted this perfect little straight line of how it went from A to B. But if I remember right, there was some, as you're trying to build your gym, somebody that was providing money said, no, and finance got pulled. So the first test of how badly do you want this gym, or one of the many tests that came up, jumped in front of you and provided you a growth opportunity.
There was a lot more than just that one, Neil. There was a ton of problems. We purchased the land where the gym was going to be in 2001, and I got hit with a thyroid virus. I got subacute thyroiditis, which of course is Epstein-Barr virus, and I dropped 30 pounds in 3 weeks and looked like a victim of a war criminal camp. I was a skeleton with skin. And that was before we even started construction. So life hands you challenges. And anyway, I worked through that. We started construction, and I remember the date because it was February 14th, Valentine's Day, and I was coming back from a ski trip, and the bank phoned, and we were partway through construction of the building for the gym. And, you know, my family had invested money. We had remortgaged our house. We had cashed in our savings. We had put everything into this. And the bank manager called, and he says, hey, Scott, I've got a bit of a problem. I'm like, what's up? He says, well, the management of the loan portfolios of the branch have changed. We have new financial managers running all of our portfolios, and they've canceled your funding. I was like, what do you mean they've canceled my funding? I've got a letter. He said, well, that's a letter of intent to finance. It's not a commitment letter, and they're different. I was like, you've got to be joking.
I don't think that was the language your mind was thinking.
So I stayed calm on the phone. I said, okay, well, what does that mean? And he says, well, I've passed your business plan on to several other banks and friends that I know in the banking industry, and you're just going to have to go find financing. And I said, now? We're $250,000 into construction. Who's going to finance a half-built building now? Like, I'm going to look like an idiot. Like, I thought we had this all straightened out. You've been telling me this has been it's going to be a rubber stamp since the 1st of January. He says, yeah, I'm really sorry. I thought this was going to be a slam dunk, and they've changed all of our risk profiles, and you don't fit our risk profile. Okay. So I went to all the other banks, all of them. And it was always, nope, there's not a chance. And because banks don't like gyms, they don't like restaurants and gyms. They fail restaurants, then gyms. That's the order, 1, 2. Of all businesses in the world, restaurants and gyms fail first and second. And if you've ever read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, you know that Michael Gerber talks about the fact that there's 3 types of personalities. There's the technician, which is a personal trainer or a chef or a mechanic or a carpenter. And then there's the entrepreneur, which is the visionary, the big idea, the great, the big, huge plan. And then there's the manager who runs the day-to-day. And what happens is you get a technician like me, a really good personal trainer, who has the entrepreneurial seizure, which says, I'm going to run my own business. My boss is an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. I could do a better job. I've got this big vision. And if you run with it, you then become the manager, and the manager does human resources and payroll and marketing and fixes broken things and is there all the time. And most entrepreneurs drive themselves crazy trying to be all 3 things. And a lot of technicians are terrible entrepreneurs and rotten managers. And restaurants and gyms are especially true because they're opened by a chef or a trainer who don't know anything about business. And so banks weren't interested. And it occurred to me after a month or so, and I had gone back to my contractor and said, I don't know what you want me to do. We don't have the money. Like the bank has pulled out of it. Like, I can give you what I've got in cash that was supposed to be my down payment on the loan, but that's not going to cover where we're at, because by then we were over 300,000 into construction. And my contractor was an amazing guy, and he just said, you know what, Scott, we're going to carry on like nothing's a problem, because if we stop, rumor gets out that the gym is on shaky ground, you'll never get a single client buying a membership because they won't trust you. So we're going to carry on like nothing's a problem. And so we carried on, and I just kept hitting the pavement. And at one point, about a month into trying to find new financing.
For a second,
Yeah.
Scott. So what we had here is Scott still had the fortitude and the belief to go forward. And then there was this little egg, this little nugget. Someone believed in him. The universe said, okay, we'll give you this little tidbit, and gave this wonderful contractor and put it for, you know, whatever your belief is, God, the universe, divine entity, put it in there, the right people at the right time, other than the bank screwing this up. All of a sudden, Scott attracted the right people into it. So can I continue on?
Yeah, and I do have to warn you, I'm at 15% battery power on my phone, and I don't have a charger with me. This is, anyway, those are the deals. But so I could picture my gym complete. And so I was just confused that this wasn't happening, because it was so clear in my mind that it was already done. We just weren't there yet. So I knew I was missing something. And all of a sudden it occurred to me to ask a different question. And I called the bank back up and I said, listen, these new people have looked at the deal and they've said no, but we were at a yes. Like, what changed? What's the split between a yes and a no? What's the difference? And he said, you know what, I'll check and I'll come back to you. That's a good question. And he came back to me and he says, you know what, if you had $50,000 more cash in the deal unencumbered, then it's a go. And I was like, that's it? 50 grand in our $1 million project is okay? That's it, 50 grand. He's like, yeah. So if I have 50 grand tomorrow, we're green lights all the way. He said, yep. Okay. So I called my uncle, my mom, my dad, and we just had the money within a few days. And we pressed on and we opened the gym, and we ran it for 18 years. And it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. I learned a ton. And, we closed it in March last year due to COVID, because I did the math and realized that this wasn't going to be a short-term 14 days to flatten the curve. Like, once you've opened the box, Pandora's out and you're not closing that box again. So I knew this was a disaster on multiple levels, and I knew my gym would not. I didn't have the bankroll to sit on a 15,000 square foot building for an unlimited amount of time and hope. I just knew that wasn't real. We would lose everything. We would lose our house. We would lose everything. So I closed and I sold off all my equipment. We paid off all our bad debts. We paid off, the treadmill loans, everything we still had. I paid off my staff. I paid off every member who had prepaid for a year membership. They either got to get equipment and take it home, fair value, or we paid the money, and we paid everybody. We walked away clean, and I started my new life, which is now just coaching online. And I coach some people live in my garage, but mostly it's people like you, Neil. I coach people for endurance, triathlon, cycling, swimming, and it's a dream. It's amazing.
Yes, and thank you. But I've noticed you asked when you changed your question, and it's like as human beings, we get stuck in a rut, and when we change the questions that we're asking, we get different answers.
100%.
I found that really powerful. So then you had this gym, and at some point in time, somebody came along and said, so you're really fit and you can push weights and you can do all this thing. Why don't you do a real sport like a triathlon or something like that? I don't know how they got to it. It might have been just running. But how did you go from being, I'm going to say, the gym rat to all of a sudden you're out in the world and you're doing true endurance run? Yes, it starts with a simple run. It would have been one run, one cycle, whatever. But how was that journey for you?
Well, the guy that started that was me. We had in our town, we had this year where we had a half Ironman triathlon. So some people had organized a 1.9K swim, 90K bike, and a 21K half marathon, a half Ironman triathlon. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I could finish one of those. I mean, I can put off drowning. Like I couldn't swim lengths, and I'd never swam anywhere in a lake other than, when you fell off the water ski and you swam until they got your water skis back on. Like, I could swim, And I taught.
Interrupt and say that's how I relate to running. I'm sorry, I know you're a running coach, but I can prevent myself from drowning and run across the road to avoid getting hit by a car. Now,
Sure.
That's my version of running.
Yeah, that's
interrupt because I'm sure I'm not the only person watching who can relate to that.
Yeah.
Whether we're drowning on the street or in the water, we're all drowning in one way.
Yeah.
So continue.
No, it's all good. And I thought, well, I'm a spin class instructor, so I can ride the heck out of a stationary bike for an hour. I didn't own an outdoor bike, but how hard could that be? And I used to run in high school, right? I used to run in high school before I broke my back, but it's more or less healed, and I'm in better shape now. So I just thought, I wonder if I could do this. And I hired a coach, and I trained for about 7 months before my first triathlon, which was a sprint distance, so a shorter one. And I was 14th overall. And I was like, this is really cool. And then I did an Olympic distance, and then I did my half Ironman, and I was 8th in my age group, in one of the most competitive age groups there was, mid-30s. And I just had an overwhelmingly amazing time. And they had roll down spots for Ironman Canada, the full iron distance, 5 weeks later. And I went to my coach and I said, do you think I could finish a full Ironman? And he says, as long as you're not attached to the time, I think we can get you through it. You're a steady swimmer. You're a really strong cyclist. And you know what? We'll get you through that. It'd be my first marathon ever, was to be the middle of an Ironman. So 5 weeks later, I did it. 3.8K swim, 180K bike, and a 42K double marathon, or a single marathon. And I was 11:57, under 12 hours in my first Ironman. And I was 100% hooked. 100% hooked. I just loved it.
Yes, to our viewers and our listeners, he is touched in the mind, because and the better part is he was even hooked more because somebody came along and said, well, why don't you try to do this and double those distances?
Yeah. And that was my friend Nick Mallet from Australia. Good old Nick Mallet. Yeah, I was having coffee with my friend Cheryl, and Nick was there, and he was like, "Mate, you should do Ultraman." And I was like, "Shut up, those guys are nuts." And he's like, think about it, mate. You could swim forever. I won't keep going with the Australian accent because you'll be insulted, but it's not terrible. But he said, think about it. Once you get swimming, if somebody fed you electrolytes once in a while with a kayak, you could just keep swimming. I was like, well, yeah. He says, you're a really strong cyclist. Like, that's your game. I had subsequently done a 400-kilometer cancer ride in one day. I'd done all these cycling things, and I'd completely fallen in love with cycling. He says, you're a fantastic cyclist. I know you can do the 145K on day one and the 275K on day two. It's a big day, but you could do that. And I was like, yeah, but Nick, day 3 is a double marathon, 84.4 kilometers. Like, I don't know. And he's like, well, think about it. You can run a 3:30 marathon, even if you slow down and run a 4 flat, like an easy for you marathon, and then have a little break and some food. You could walk the second marathon in 8 hours and still be a finisher. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. And I signed up the next week. So I trained for a year, and I did Ultraman Canada Championships, and I was 6th overall. I was 24 minutes away from 2nd overall. I had a 27-hour race. It was amazing. This is the best race of my life. And I was completely hooked. And then I went to the World Championships and on and on.
And I've just got to pick my jaw off the ground right now. I don't know if you noticed, but I had a few moments where I was like, wow, this guy's incredible. He must get
stubborn. Stubborn is the word you're searching for.
We need to go into the archives and show pictures of the hamburger that Scotty's feet are at the end of day 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is some resilience, but Scotty is the first one to say that he's not the only one that crosses that finish line in any of his race, because without his beautiful wife's support, he's dead in the water. He's sneaking out in the middle of the day trying to get caught. I'll put on my business suit and she won't notice as I go for a run.
That's not true. Yeah. No, my wife is amazing. She's very, very supportive. She's fantastic. I'm very, very blessed. We get each other. Like, she gets that I'm a better human when I get to race. Her thing is a cappella singing, and she belongs to a ladies a cappella singing group, and they rehearse all the time and go to competitions and stuff. And I completely support her. We make sure that she goes to travel and do things like that. And then when it's my turn for my races, like, we get it that each of us is better when we do the things we love. And this is something I love. And she's amazing. And the other fun thing about Ultraman is, because you're self-supported, you have your own crew. So two of my best friends get to be at the race with me the whole time, and it's really fun. It's a team sport as opposed to Ironman, which is strictly individual solo effort. Ultraman's a team sport because you've got your crew with you, feeding you and supplying you whatever it is you need for the whole race.
What difference does that make to actually have someone there with you?
It's really amazing for a lot of reasons. One, it's really fun, and you get to see your buddies and they cheer you on. And my first Ultraman, it was very, even my second one too, it was very rich and rewarding, because when I would come home from an Ironman and people say, well, how was the race? And you tell them about it, they just look at you like you're an alien. Like, they just don't get it. Like, it just sounds horrible. Like, it sounds really hard.
You put yourself through torture?
Yeah. Like, why would you do that? And they just don't get it. And then when they're on your crew, and I've had a couple different crews, when they're on your crew for Ultraman and they see the depths that a human being can go to overcome an insurmountable challenge. Like, the day 2 bike course in Kona a couple of years ago is 275 kilometers. It's 30 degrees Celsius. And there's 14,000 vertical feet of climbing. That's halfway up Everest. It's really hard. And when your crew is watching you find the way through that, it's really fun to share that experience. And the other great thing about crew is you rely on them so much, because if you need more water, you got water. If it's like, I really need electrolytes, I really need Coca-Cola, I really need M&Ms, I really need a sandwich, I need gel, whatever, then they'll customize, they'll shift, they'll adjust, they'll change, they'll help with whatever it is you need to get through the race, because it's a team effort. We all get through this together or we don't succeed. It's not, you can't do it by yourself.
What would be the difference then, knowing, you've gone home, you've spoken about your race, people are looking at you like you're an alien, and then you've brought them on board to actually come with you. You've celebrated together, which I can see that would be fantastic. I'm curious then, if you had random crew you'd never met before, how that would impact your race.
I know people that have done that. I never have. My crew have always been the best of friends with me, and so they know me. We know each other well, and they know what I'm capable of. So that makes a big difference. I can't imagine doing it with someone you didn't know. I think that would be really hard. Although, that is to say, I just crewed for Ultraman Canada. We did as part of a team not quite a month ago, and I crewed for Lucy. And I know Lucy, I've raced against her, but I've never crewed for her. So that's an experiment to learn how she handles stress and fatigue. And some people, when it gets really hard, they just want silence and they want you to just leave them alone. And some people want to chat. And then, so I did the 277K bike on day 2, and they crewed for me. And of course, they don't know me as an athlete. They don't know what I need and stuff. So you've got to coach and teach. And then on day 3, I was crewing for Kevin, our runner, and I didn't know him prior. So you just learn as you go. Kevin was one of those guys. I'm pretty chatty. He just wanted silence. So I just ran beside him in silence for 24.5K and didn't talk much, because that's what he needed. So it's a learning thing. But it's really fun.
I'm going to give a little sneak peek here. So the Warrior Code, Scott created a film, but not Scott. Scott was
I was a stuntman. I hired Drew, my friend, who's a movie maker. I hired him to make a documentary of me going to the Ultraman World Championships in 2015. Because in 2013 was my first time at the World Championships. I didn't know I was getting into. It was all brand new. It was huge. It was the World Championships. There's only 40 people invited in the world to the World Championships. It's a very intimate race. And I felt like this little kindergarten kid that was sitting at the table with the high school kids, and I wasn't sure I was allowed to be there. Right. And I did okay. I did 21st in the world. I surprised a lot of people. I had a great day. When I went back in 2015, I thought, I want to race. I think I deserve to be here. I want to see if I can be top 5. And I thought it'd be great for someone to film that effort. So that's how that started.
So why I was mentioning them, because in the film, there's a little clip that really shows you how the family of the race came about. I think it was your front wheel. You got a flat on your front wheel, and there's a crew that's not even Scott's, a couple hundred yards above, waiting for their racer, and they're yelling back and forth, finding out what Scott needed, and he needed a wheel for his bike, and they ran and gave Scott a wheel and moved him on down so he could continue on.
Yeah, I was coming down a hill just outside of was it Keho? No, I wasn't quite that far. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was just outside of a bay, a Kealakekua Bay, and I was boogieing down the highway, and I went through some crap on the side of the road, and I got a flat front tire. And of course, you pull over quickly on a downhill with front flat, and I pulled over, and my crew was way behind me, and I thought, well, I'll undo the tire because I got to do that anyway. So I undid the front tire, took it off, and I heard off in the distance, Scotty, what do you need? And I look up, and it's Jeremy on Gaurav's team, and Gaurav is from somewhere in South America, I think. I don't think it's Cuba, but anyway, he's like, what do you need? I said, front tire. So he grabbed Gaurav's tire, ran up the hill, changed my tire, clicked it in just as the film crew had come up behind me, but they don't have any gear. And I was back on the bike and gone again. Now, technically, Gaurav is my opponent, but that's not how we roll. It's not competition. We all want everybody to be at their best in the moment of it. And I have to say, Neil, my phone's just starting to go dark because I'm on my last 5% of battery power. So this is going to turn on me pretty fast here.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, so we've talked about the film, and I won't give any spoilers away, but I've seen the film at least 6 times. And if you go to Warrior Code Film, you can get it for free, but there's also a donation button to it. And I encourage you, because Scott and the producers put out cold hard cash to get this, because Drew, as much as he loves Scott, couldn't do this for free. Music rights, footage, there's a huge amount of costs that go into this. And so if you love the movie like I did, please, please, please make a donation. And it's everybody can watch it. They've removed any real gore because Scott has a son that's can be bothered by gore, so they've done a really good job because Scott has an accident in the movie, and this is true to life. And I won't give too much away, but for that day, and I'll get emotional, I was worried my friend was not gonna make it.
Yeah, I get emotional too. That was a rough day. I'll tell you just that I was really working hard to be top 5, and on the day 2 bike course, I was going down the mountain in a little bit of a rain, and I was going about 70 kilometers an hour. And apparently there was algae on the bridge deck, and my wheel slid, and I cartwheeled till I stopped. And I don't know if you can picture going 70 kilometers an hour in a bike, in a convertible, and then just get out. It's not good. I cartwheeled till I stopped. I sprained several fingers, sprained my wrist. I broke my arm in half. I shattered my shoulder in 4 pieces. I broke 5 ribs. I busted my knee. I split my side of my head open on one side, and on the other side where my helmet had twisted, I smashed my head into the curb, and I broke my skull open, exposing my brain. I had one of the worst brain injuries you can get, and I nearly died. And it's quite a thing. And, you know, we talk about Ohana, which is family. And of course, if you've seen the movie Lilo and Stitch, you know, Ohana means family, and family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. Right? That's Stitch. He's my boy. I like Peter Hudson and Adam Fox, both Australians. They were behind me. I had just passed them, and they stopped. And They stayed with me for over 40 minutes in their world championships, and they didn't move till the ambulance was there and I was safe. They kept me alive. It was pretty cool. Anyway, see, I get emotional too, Neil. I got through that, and the movie is about my 3-year process of clawing my way back to the world championships again, against all odds, because nobody thought I'd race again. My shoulder was destroyed. My knee has a pothole in it, according my knee surgeon calls it a pothole, and the brain injury was pretty bad. I had to learn to run again.
And this is why I wanted to talk about resilience, because I don't know how long it was before something in Scott's head said, hey, I'm laying here and tubes are all coming, machines are going beep, 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 beep. And Scott's going, I wonder if I can run again.
Moments
Somewhere
after.
in there.
Moments after.
It's that stubbornness. Hey, Scott. There's that stubbornness.
Yeah. There's actually footage of me. Lyle recorded it on his phone. So my best friend Lyle, they had to fly me from the big island of Kona over to Oahu to the brain trauma unit. And my wife at the time, our son was 3, and she's like, I can't come to the hospital. I can't do this. And so my best friend Lyle said, I'll do it. So he flew across, and he slept in my hotel room for 3 days. And when I came to consciousness and my hard drive started to record again, he did a little video with his phone and interviewed me and asked me a couple of questions. And in that interview, I mean, I had been cognizant for about an hour, maybe not even. And I said, oh yeah, it'll take a bit to recover, but I'll be back to racing again. I can't wait to come back here and finish. And I never let go of that. That happened.
And this is testament to his friends and to his beautiful wife, Hillary, because she had just, her husband's all broken, and it's unbeknownst to her, months of years to put them back together. Humpty Dumpty had fallen apart, and I don't believe you had ever told me that not once did she go, are you really thinking? She just was, this is what Scott needs to do.
Yeah. She never wavered. Complete support. She knew to be whole again, I had to go back to that race and finish. And it was a long, hard road. And we made it together. And it was quite the emotional finish. It's, in the movie, it's Bring a Tissue. It's really, Drew did a phenomenal job of capturing the emotion. There was a circle of 25 or 30 people at the finish line on day 2 of the bike course in 2018 when I crossed that finish of day 2. And the finish line was just unreal. It's I'm giving too much away, but it's phenomenal. It's worth watching. It's free. And like Neil says, if you donate, that's amazing. I've been training for the Ultimate World Championships for 2021, and they just let us know a few days ago that it's canceled. They're deferring it to 2022. So that stinks. I've already invested a ton of hours and a ton of time and a ton of money, and but whatever. I'll be stronger next year.
I don't know when you started this crazy ass tradition, but at the end of at the end of the Ultraman, so he's just run 88 kilometers,
84 and a half
kilometers, and somebody does 3 burpees at the very end with his crew. 5. Yeah. And to the point where his wife will get into it, his son will get and whoever's around that they can drag into this. So he's just done this crazy feat, and he's got to leave just enough energy for 5 burpees.
Yeah.
That's concentration.
So when Scott's looking for crew when he's 75 and still trying to do Ultramans, don't volunteer to crew unless you can do 5 burpees.
Maybe you can train them.
Yeah. I'll tell you too, crewing is not easy. Crewing is a lot of work. Crewing is relentless too. It's long days, not a lot of sleep, and you're 100% game on all the time. It's a team event.
Well, when they're running, because they can pace with you, and I've witnessed through the movie, some of the guys have paced with you.
Yeah.
And one of the producers of the show, Darren Thompson, he is not built to be a runner.
No.
He is not a runner. And it warms my heart to see that he loves that much that he will run. He won't run very far, but he will run. And that's, you can move mountains when you have the team with you. Oh, I think we just lost him.
What a
That's
story.
too bad.
Wow. Incredible. Oh, I completely lost for words a few times there, Neil. I was just, what a guy. Still got nothing. Wow.
So I highly suggest that if you haven't seen it yet, go to the Warrior Code film and watch it. There's a connection to Australia, as Scott alluded to. There was 2 Australians in the champion that literally saved Scott's life, because they were the ones with the phone to dial 911. They're the ones that administered initial first aid, made sure that the scene. If you want to know what true friendship is, you look at his crew. His best friend is witnessing Scott. What he thought, when you watch the movie, you will see that his best friend thought he was dead when he stumbled in there. And you just have to keep moving and keep moving. It's why I was talking about Scott is so resilient. Scott is also a very astute business person. He could coach business, but it's not his passion and his flair. But he's a wonderful business coach, and that's why I love him as my running coach. It's because he's been there, he's done it. He can, like, when he's talking about, oh, Scott, you can slow down and run a 4-hour marathon. I'm going, I want to speed up and run a 4-hour marathon. So, what we didn't get is, if you want to know more about Scott on Facebook, he's under I am Scotty at the Fit. So I am Scotty Fit. He does personal fitness. He does keynotes, talks. He's funny. You notice that there's, in the previous, he does accents. He picks them up very quickly. We used to have a woman named Sarah was on here from Scotland. He loves doing Scottish accents.
Wow, what a guy, what a combination. And Neil, I can see why you would admire and want to work with somebody like that. What does having Scott as your coach do for you?
Keeps me motivated, because I know that there is possibilities, because I'm not a blob or the Pillsbury Doughboy, but Scott started from there and he's where he is. So I know that and I'm not putting Scott down, but if he can go from there to where he is, he knows his stuff. Yeah. And so I'm very comfortable in just surrendering to what it is. And I also know that he's going to push me. He's going to ask me more than I'm comfortable, like a good coach will do. If he thinks you can run 100 yards, he's going to set the goalpost 120, 130, the measuring stick, and he's going to cheer you on no matter what you do. And I have failed and been unable to achieve some of the things, and I've never not felt supported, because he will just say, okay, what happened? What's going on? Let's regroup and move on. Last week on Wednesday, I had a complete meltdown. I couldn't complete what he had set out for me. I had no energy. My legs had failed, and I could barely walk the distance that he had set out for me. And it was nothing that he had done. It was I didn't eat enough calories. And we had talked about diet. We had talked about the importance of self-care. It was me that did it. It wasn't him. Scott didn't criticize or chastise me. He asked me what was wrong, what we can do, how does the plan need to change, like good coaches do. And then we did the attaboys, and it was great. So having someone that has achieved so much and has still goals, aspirations, it's like he loved his gym. He loved it. And for him to be proactive in shutting it down to save his family, to save and to know, it was like seppuku, because he knew he needed to do it, but he was slowly, in my view, killing himself, because it was just, he wanted this for 20 years. And he knew at less, I forget, he's 40, anyways, I forget how old he is. He's had to reinvent himself and change back to resilience. How many times have we avoided making decisions because we're afraid and we don't want to change?
I think that's a very open-ended question, and I think everybody, whether you're watching live or in replay, guys, drop a hashtag whether you're watching live or in replay so other people can see it, by the way. But yeah, those times of resilience when you need to dig deep, they're huge. And so too are those times when you're continually dug deep and then that extra thing hits you and you're just like, again, now what do you do? So I'm curious, Neil, you kind of mentioned that you did that last week in your race. You sort of depleted yourself. You needed those calories and within you decided you wanted to continue. Yeah. How did you get that oomph to go forward?
Like most people, when you get hit, you're fed lemons. We all need to go through a grieving process. We don't like the results. We're not happy with our performance. Life didn't go fair. Wah, wah, cry, stomp my feet to do it, and then go back to big picture. What is important? What do I want to achieve? And so after I had a bath and had some food and talked to with Tina, it was like, what is important here? What is it that you want to do? And I said, I want to finish this race healthy. And then the question becomes, which Scott asked me and Tina, my wife, asked me, so what do you need to do to make this happen? Back to where we were with Scott, change the questions, ask better questions. And so that I asked better questions. I need to make sure that I'm getting more sleep, getting more nutrition in my body.
100%. It's reminding me of, like I told you before, I'm brilliant at running. I can run across the road to escape a truck. Bike riding and swimming, however, much prefer. I used to swim quite a bit in high school and beyond. Even in primary school, my dad was a winter swimmer, and every time we went on holidays, he would swim year round. But we would jump in the Tweed River, which is the New South Wales Queensland border, and swim across the river in the middle of winter, and achieve best times and stuff. And it was brilliant to see the age group of people. So for me in primary school, I was with my dad, who was about 40 years older than me, and most of the people were between probably 40 and 70. So these men and women of all ages were getting out there, freezing temperatures and absolutely smashing their personal bests or cheering each other on. And, that camaraderie of having those people around you, I'm sure that they probably spent at least 10 years, majority of them, if not more of their life together, training and doing these marvelous things. What an experience to have that group togetherness. I know that now if I was to go into the pool, I'm doing it hydrotherapy for my physical rehab. We know each other, but there's not that same push that I felt with my dad's team all around him. We're like, yeah, we were pushing ourselves in the water, but it's more push against the pain and don't hurt ourselves too much. It's a completely different sort of support, but still quite nice. So that support that both yourself and Scotty have touched on, it's crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely. As Scott alluded to in the various events, each person is different. Like I run by myself, but there's nothing better than knowing that someone is at the finish line waiting for me and that I have family and friends. Many of the races, the marathon races, that the two that I've run, I've been able to use technology and let my family in and know where I am on the course. In my first marathon, I ran into problems. So my time between kilometer 36 and 38 dropped. And my family, unbeknownst to me, or that are all watching the race on technology, going, "What's wrong? He hasn't moved. How come?" It's been like I should have been across in like 14 minutes between the two points, and I wasn't there. Unbeknownst to them, that there was a bathroom there. I chose to use the bathroom. I chose to, and I had started to walk. I was really struggling, and I had started to walk. So it was like, but they're all freaked out. But it was so helpful to know that there's people there. And I think that's why changing to slightly depression is so serious, is because most people that are depressed completely feel alone and are completely cut off when they're not. There's problem. I don't know anyone that doesn't have someone that would care about them and want to help if they knew. Most of us don't know how. Most people don't know how. Maybe we can let him back in. Can we let him back in?
Am I back in?
Yeah.
I'm sitting outside a Safeway and I thought, I bet you they have a charge cord. And I went and I bought a charge cord.
Wonderful. There you go. Thinking on your feet. Now, Neil is just filling us in on one of his races recently where his family were watching him slow down after he went to the bathroom and started walking. And we were just talking about the support that you mentioned before, Scott, about, having people around and how they help Neil.
Mm-hmm.
It was in my first Victoria Marathon where we had trained me hard to kilometer 32, 34, and I was struggling between 36 and 38. And thank goodness they put a bathroom there. So I took a bathroom and a break. And that's when I text my wife to say that I'm in trouble. I'm slowing down. And they just said, "We got you, buddy. We're here for you." And it was just like, oh, yeah. And it's an amazing. And having your crew, it would be the same, that your crew has got you no matter what.
Yeah, it's inspiring. It's great. I mean, you can be so much stronger with other people helping you. I think too many times we think we have to struggle alone, and that's just not true. Or we think we're the only ones going through something, and that's just not true. Like, crew is amazing, family's amazing, friends are amazing. And I think that's probably been one of the big challenges with what's been going on in the world in the last 18, 19 months is people end up being alone and isolated, and that's not healthy.
No, I was looking at some statistics recently, and loneliness is by far the world's most largest problem at the moment. It's beyond depression and anxiety. It's loneliness.
Yeah.
And then in there, depression and anxiety for obvious reasons. Worldwide years ago, it was 1 in 5 people. Now it's closer to 1 in 3, 1 in 4 people. Statistics of child abuse have gone up. Statistics of suicide attempts has gone up. Guys, and you touched on it before, both of you touched on it before about that feeling alone, whether it's real or imaginary. You're not alone. There are people that you can reach out to, and it's a really important subject that we need to bring up. It's actually Suicide Awareness Month as of tomorrow in September. And having someone around you to support you is monumentally amazing. Whether that be as you're running or whether that be in your whole life, just reach out. And I'm sure, Scott, you can relate to that after your accident. Would I be correct there?
Well, absolutely. And accidentally beyond that, Sarah, I mean, you don't know me, but I grew up I love my parents, and I would never say anything, in this realm against them that's not that. My parents were both alcoholics, and they were stuck in the trap they were stuck in. And, you know, they did the best they could, but they had their own challenges. And I went through some real things in junior high school and stuff. You know, to be full blunt, you know, when I was 11, I was raped. And I never told my family about it. They didn't know about it. And I thought it was super destructive because I kept it to myself. And I told it to one of my friends once, and in confidence. And then we got mad at each other for some stupid reason or whatever, playing whatever. We were 11. I don't know what it was about. And then when we were 12 and 13 going into junior high school, he told a bunch of people that I was gay. And I wasn't gay. I had been raped. That's completely different, I'm afraid. But that part of the story never was told. And when I went to junior high school, and everybody was throwing gum in my hair and spitting on me and kicking me, and it was horrible. And in the month of December in grade 8, I wrote a suicide note to this girl that I was infatuated with, who didn't know I was alive. And I wrote a suicide note to my parents, and I went home and I took my dad's hunting rifle, a .270 Winchester, and I put a bullet in the chamber, and I turned the safety off, and I cocked and loaded it, and I put it in my mouth, put the barrel in my mouth, and I had my finger on the trigger, and I was applying pressure when my friend walked in. And because Chris knew, like, when I said goodbye, because we walked home from school together, and when he went to go towards his house, he said, the way you said goodbye, I knew you didn't mean see you later. And so he followed me home. And that's how he found me. And so I think back now, and I think, my gosh, I'm so glad I didn't commit suicide, obviously. But at the time, I thought I was the only one in the world who had ever gone through that. I thought I was the only one in the world who had ever had that happen to them, and nobody would understand. And that's just wrong. That's not true. And the challenge we have is that we all need to be Chris, because people who are suicidal don't reach out. They don't ask for help. They don't think anybody will care. They don't think anybody will understand. They won't ask for help. And so we have to spot it. We have to see it. We have to notice that they're particularly down, and we have to reach out. And that's the challenge with suicide. So I was lucky. Someone reached out to me. And if I look at what I've created with my life since then, it is unbelievable. I have coached and helped and trained literally tens of thousands of people, because I'm still alive to do so. And when I was 12, 13, I thought I was useless and had no purpose and just might as well be dead. And I was wrong. And I'm glad that
Me too.
I'm still here. Yeah. Sorry, we got pretty serious there, but I think it matters to share that, because people are like, oh, Scott, it's great. Everything's easy and you're great. No, I have had my mountains to climb, and I still climb them. Honestly, if you ask me today, I'm 52 years old, and I've been Business of the Year awards twice. I've been Citizen of the Year twice. I just received an award for being Rotarian of the Year, Volunteer Service Organization Rotarian of the Year. And I am still convinced nobody likes me. Everybody hates you. You're a loser. And you'll never succeed. That is still my foundational hardwiring. And I have to consciously overcome that. I have to consciously say, Scott, that's not true. That's an old pattern.
You forgot, for 8 years in a row, you've been Dad of the Year.
Yes. If you ask my 9-year-old son, he would tell you he's the greatest gift, and he sees me for real. He sees me better than I see me, you know, and I'm just as flawed as everybody, but we're all broken in our own special way. We're all, you know, that's one of the reasons I think I'm really good at Ultraman, because it was easier in childhood. You know, I can laugh now. It wasn't so fun at the time, but You know, and like I said, it's nothing against my parents. They did the best they could. They didn't know they didn't know a lot of stuff that was going on. I never did tell them about this. And now my mom's too old to, why would I tell her this?
So if you're looking, whether you're listening to this on replay podcast, whether you're watching this on a replay in Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, however you're getting this, if Scott has triggered you that you want to, in a good way, that you want to work with Scotty, you want to know more about Scott, you can get a hold of him on Facebook, and Facebook has all of his contact. Scott does keynotes. He'll even, I think he'll even do a Scottish accent if you ask him to.
Absolutely.
You know, and I've known Scott for, I don't even know how many years. We got involved together through personal growth. We both attended similar personal growth events, and we knew mutual friends. I was one of his personal trainers that introduced us.
Yes. Yeah,
Pat. Yeah, Pat. And so Scott is available on Facebook. If you're looking for a guest for your podcast, you're looking for a speaker, you're looking for a coach that will affectionately whip your butt into shape, whether it's whether it's a biking, running, scope, or you just need some fitness advice. Are you still running your 21-day detox?
Yeah, we've changed it to the 21-day nutrition reset because detox is an abused word, and people think they've got to drink potions and lotions and take pills, and it's nothing like that. It's getting you back to real food, healthy food. It's a reset. It's a 3-week reset, and the results are so much fun. I just love it. People don't realize how many things they're putting into their body that are just not supportive. And when I get people eating great, healthy food, it's a balanced meal. I'm not into wackadoo, no carbs, no fat, no nothing. I don't believe in pendulum diets. I believe I'm in the middle. All of the things, some of this, some of that, some of this, lots of fruits and veggies, good lean proteins, whether it's meats or eggs or fish, dairy, it doesn't matter. So I believe in all the things, and it's a super, super balanced approach. And I know from so much experience, not only going from fat to fit, but from going near dead to back to the world championships again. If you give your amazing, beautiful gift of your human body, if you give it great nutrition, it's phenomenal what it will do for you. Your body loves you. Your body wants to be healthy. Your body wants to support you. Your body wants to heal. And if you'll just stop feeding it garbage, you'd be stunned at what you can accomplish. And I love to be able to do that. And real world results, people like to know that that the average is people drop 6.7 pounds in 3 weeks and feel amazing, sleep better, less stress, less anxiety, more energy. Those are the top. My clothes fit better. Those are the top things people report. And people that stick with me, like Stephen has been with me for 3 months. He's down 62 pounds. The mayor of our town dropped over 40 pounds with me in 3 months. Like, yeah, you can, if you stay with me longer, we can do more things, right? And I do all kinds of stuff. I just had an RCMP officer contact me because he was out of shape because of COVID. And he got the phone call to get into the elite canine program that he'd been waiting over 1.5 years to get into. And they called him and they said, you got 6 weeks to get ready for the exams. And he called me and we got him dialed in 6 weeks. He dropped some weight. He got more in shape in every different direction, very, very practical training. And he was first out of, I think, 40 officers fighting to be in the program. So I love to play. I love to do with people that are really willing to do the work. I love to help. I just have a lot to coach with. It's just what I love to do. And I love to speak. I love to do keynote talks and stuff like that. And obviously I have this beautiful professional podcast room that I love to use. It's got a high quality microphone, all that kind of stuff. And then here I am in my truck outside of Safeway. And I apologize for that. My brother's son was in a horrible car accident, and the initial progress was that he would never walk again. But he's able to be out of the hospital to visit. And so we're here to visit him. He can move his legs a bit now. And so we're excited for that. So it was appropriate for me to be here and to be doing this and visiting my nephew and supporting him. And so I apologize for the crappy quality of the interview in that sense, but I hope that there's been value.
Oh, absolutely. And do you know what? I think more than anything, your nephew would relate to your story and know, you know, he's come back from literally death's door. I can do this too. And having those people around you, it's a beautiful thing. What an amazing mentor you must be to him.
Yeah, it's I mean, you never know how it lands, but I love to be here for him as much as I can be. It's been very restrictive the last few months. We haven't been able to see him, and you know, there's all the rules and stuff, but now he's now able to come outside in a wheelchair, and you know, I want to do more for whatever I can. But yeah, we've had some really great conversations the last couple of days about what he's going through, and I can relate to it on a different level than other people. So that's been powerful. So again, I apologize for the quality of my interview, but I hope the content has been what you were hoping.
Absolutely. And we need to bring this to a close because we normally run exactly 1 hour so that we can get this on Instagram TV without editing. But now, gosh, golly darn it, I'm doing some editing. And that's okay because the content has been wonderful. So I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule and taking time from family time to make this happen, because this was your family time. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart. And as a tradition, I'm going to wrap it up with a few heartfelt words, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Scott, and then Sarah will wrap it up. So you can, whatever feels right for you to end with, Scott, that you would like to share with our listeners is perfect. And I'll go and model the way. Whatever you do in life, do it from the heart, do it with purpose, do it with passion, and let go of the fear, and then just embrace life and live it from a place of love, joy, and happiness.
Who's next? You want me? Okay, I'll go. Thanks, Neil. It's a gift to be on the show, and it's a pleasure to meet you, Sarah. I just want to say to everybody, you know, I'm happy to be wearing this shirt today. Anything is possible, and that's true. One of the gifts I gave to my nephew today is a book by Ryan Holiday called The Obstacle is the Way. It's a phenomenal book. I've been through it at least 10 times, if not more. It's a phenomenal book. There's an opportunity in every single obstacle, and you just have to see it, and you've got to keep moving. One of the things we say in Ultraman that my friend Lyle came up with is forward is a pace. I don't care how fast you go. I don't care. Just keep going. Forward is a pace. Never quit.
I love that. I love that. Your shirts reminded me of an Audrey Hepburn quote. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible.
Yes.
And it also reminded me of, you know, you spoke about being broken in childhood. And I'm thinking, well, even broken crayons work. So, yes, you know, get out there and design the life you desire. There are people around you who can and will help you. And they will look at you and see you. I'm going to end on that note. Guys, this has been a heartfelt conversation. My hairs and my arms are sticking up right now because it's been so touching. Thank you so much for joining us today, Scott. I look forward to spending more time with you in the future. And guys, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again on Uplifting Conversations that set your heart on fire in a few weeks. Take care and be well.
Be well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Pleasure.
Hey, so why didn't it go?